Hello, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well today. This is Dr. Varun Gandhi, and you're listening to the Power Punch Club podcast. Today, my partner in crime, Vineet Jain, is back. What's going on, man? How you doing? How's Colombia?
Life is great. Colombia was amazing. Back here in cold Pittsburgh. But, for all of those people out there who are world travelers, I really recommend to put Colombia on top of your list. Beautiful, beautiful country. I was so humbled by the spectacular views, the mountains, the deserts, the beaches, everything. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. I'm so glad to hear. I actually mentioned you on the podcast, so they already know that you're in Colombia. I told them that.
Oh, I know that they know.
Really?
You told me about your podcast that you started recording. By the way, great idea. I love this mission that you put us on, the mission about just giving everyone all the information they need to apply to universities. Level the playing field. No matter where these students are, anywhere in the world, they have the exact same opportunities to get into great universities. So I really, really value that. But anyhow, when you told me about this podcast, I got that email when I was on a bus from Pereira to Medellin in Colombia. And the buses have like great Wi-Fi and everything. Much better to hear it in the United States, by the way. It's funny, my cell phone worked better there than here, my data plan. Wow. So I listened to the first podcast while I was on that drive.
Damn, that's a story. That's the memory that Power Punch Club podcast is always going to have with us, man. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, dude.
Yeah, man.
You know, and you articulated a mission really well, but the other part that that international students are missing and is their ability to articulate and communicate their story through the different pieces of their application. And this is where Power Punch Club podcast comes in as well, to help them understand how the different pieces of the puzzle mean something that's greater than just the individual pieces.
Absolutely. Articulation is key. Here's the problem. You may be the best student, the most intelligent student, the smart student, ambitious, yet you got to communicate this to your audience through an application. The application provides various different mediums to communicate that, through your resume, through your letter of recommendation, through your statement of purpose, and of course through your GRE score. You have to grasp each of these opportunities and make the most of it. And if you cannot articulate in today's world, it's game over for you. You should start today to get better at articulating, get better at writing, get better at talking, get better at selling, get better at branding yourself. Because in today's world, no matter where you are, even if you decide not to apply to universities, you got to sell your thoughts and your ambitions to everyone around you. Else it's going to be tough.
I completely agree. That's a really good advice, and I hope people listen to you because they definitely need to follow that, and they definitely need to spend more time articulating their story now for their application and for the future, because that's one of the best ways to get a job in America is if you understand what your story is and what your why is, essentially. But if they spend more time articulating their story, the reason they don't have that time is because they're actually spending too much time on applying to so many different universities. So that's the topic we're going to address today, is how many universities should these students apply to?
All right. Yeah. So the golden rule that we follow here at Power Punch Club is 6 to 8 universities. Anything more means you have no clue what you're doing, you're too confused, and you have no game plan. Period. That's it. If you even think that you need to apply to more than 6 is actually enough. 8 is the stretch. More than that, you need to talk to somebody. And think about this. You're spending so much money just applying to more universities than you need to. It's about $100 to $125, maybe $175 per application. That adds up. Instead, take that money, invest it in a mentor and a spiritual advisor, someone who can help you get some clarity of purpose into your brain, and so that you have a better game plan when applying.
Completely agree, man. That's an amazing point that you bring up about how much they're spending. Almost, 15 applications, $100 per application, sometimes even more than that. It's more than $1,500 they're spending on just applications. And that's not money well spent by no means. But also, it takes a considerable amount of time to just create one really good application, right? Like, why don't they spend that time on creating that one really, really good application as opposed to 15 different average applications?
Yes, you're right. I believe that the problem is in their philosophy, in their underlying philosophy when they try to tackle applications. They think they need to get one good application, and then that one application can be copy and pasted, and then it's a numbers game. That's what they think, but that's not how it should be done. What they need to realize, what everyone needs to realize, is that every relationship is a new conversation. So they need to start from beginning in their application, and that's why it takes a lot of time. They think you put all the time, effort in that first application, and then they don't need to do that again and again because they have the material, and that's wrong, because what you need to do is create material for each university based on that university, based on their program, based on what type of candidates they are looking for, and that takes time. You're right. So if you're saying 15 applications, almost 50 hours for each application, they're committing themselves to, how much, do the math, about 750 hours for that application season. Most students start in the last 2-3 months anyways. There's no way they could squeeze that type of time, and even if they do, it's not quality time.
Definitely. So would you say that's what differentiates a great application from an average one? The time it takes to articulate their story?
That's definitely the most important aspect of it, for sure. And it goes back to our previous conversation. If you cannot articulate your ambition, your goals, your vision, your purpose of applying to this particular university out of the hundreds out there, they won't value you as a candidate. And if they don't value you, you don't get an admission.
Yeah, because you don't value yourself. And if you don't value yourself, that is not going to come across in your story. And
absolutely,
if it doesn't, that's all the application committee sees. When they're thinking about a student, do we want to accept the student or not? When they're making their decision, all they see is their application. And if they don't articulate their story through their application and communicate it in a way that best represents themselves, then their application is not going to get justice done to it.
It's like a club. I think I've used this in another podcast, but think of universities as like a club. You're going to go dancing. You got to prep up everything. The GRE is like the bouncer that stands in front of the club and lets you in or lets you out, right? So that's, the GRE is like the very first hurdle that you got to cross. If your GRE score or GMAT score is not good enough, you won't even be considered for the next level. Comes the next level, we talked about it. Your GRE score is okay. Then an admission counselor is going to go through, spend 5 minutes on your application and say, you know what, this application is in the top 20. I'm going to put it on the side, and we're going to review it together some other day. How do you get into that top 20%? That's hurdle number 2. Then hurdle number 3 is good articulation, good resume, good background, good everything that will get you into the top 2%, top 5%, and those are the students who will be given an admission at that particular prestigious university.
I love the conversation, but I'm sorry to cut it short. You can definitely check us out on our website, powerpunchclub.com, or on our social channels. You can follow us on Quora or Facebook or on our YouTube channel. Just search for Power Punch Club. We're also on iTunes now and Google Play, so definitely check us on those 2 channels as well. Finally, BJ, it was great talking to you, man. And let's catch up next time, all right?
Absolutely. Thank you, Varun. Hey, guys, this is Vineet with Varun at Power Punch Club. You guys know already that we're hosting events all across India this coming summer for the application season 2018. So these are workshops. You're going to come in. The first few sessions are going to be identifying what your brand is, identifying what your goals are, identifying what type of universities you should be applying to, what type of degrees you should be applying to. If you haven't taken the GREs, there's going to be some assistance there on the GREs, though we would require you to have taken at least one round of the GRE or the GMAT. And then from that point on, we're going to help you identify what stories build your brand, what stories you should include in your application. When you do include them in the application, where do they go in the application? Do they go on your resume? Do they go on your letter of recommendation? Do they go on in your statement of purpose? We're going to help you identify that, and then we're going to move on to help you write your application. Expect that by the end of this workshop, you will have 1 to 2 applications ready, and you will know exactly what to do for the last 2, 3, or 4 applications. And you will be all set. One day, 12 hours, you will be all set for the application season 2018. We really recommend that you come, and until then, stay in touch with us through our podcast and through our website, www.powerpunchclub.com.